There exists a stretch of land where borders mean little, where militants and governments clash daily, and where war is an ever-present shadow. This is the Triad of Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, a volatile region shaped by history, conflict, and betrayal. The world may focus on superpower rivalries, but the conflicts raging here hold just as much potential for devastation. Militias, nationalists, jihadists, and state militaries all fight for dominance, turning this land into a battleground without rules. Today we uncover how history, geopolitics, and unseen forces are driving this region toward disaster, and why it may already be too late to stop it. To understand the conflicts of today, we must first look at the past mistakes that continue to haunt this region. One of the greatest sources of tension between Afghanistan and Pakistan is a border drawn not by the people, but by a Pickering British colonial officer, the base's Durand Line. In 1893, British official Henry Durand sat in his office and, with little understanding of local history or ethnic ties, drew a straight line across the map, marking the separation between British India and Afghanistan. But this was not just a border, it was a fracture line through an entire civilization. This arbitrary line split the Pashtun people, leaving millions stranded in Pakistan, while their homeland, Afghanistan, still considered them part of its own identity. Even today, more Pashtuns live in Pakistan than in Afghanistan itself, fueling Kabul's territorial claims over Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan regions. For over a century, Afghanistan has refused to recognize the Durand Line, and successive governments, from the monarchy to the Taliban, have maintained the dream of unifying the Pashtun people under a single state. If this were to happen, Afghanistan would not only gain a majority Pashtun identity, but also access to the Arabian Sea, breaking free from its landlocked isolation. This nationalist dream is one of the greatest sources of tension between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And as long as it exists, there will never be true peace between the two nations. The Taliban are often viewed as a single entity, but in reality, two Taliban factions exist, and their relationship with Pakistan is deeply contradictory. The Afghan Taliban, the ruling force in Kabul, seeking to maintain control over Afghanistan and oppose Western influence. They historically had close ties with Pakistan's intelligence services, ISIN. The Pakistani Taliban, TTP, a militant group against the Pakistani state, launching attacks to claim Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as part of a greater Pashtun Afghanistan. Here lies the contradiction. Pakistan once supported the Afghan Taliban, but now finds itself at war with the Pakistani Taliban. The Afghan Taliban quietly shelters. TTP leaders, despite Pakistan's demands can crush themselves. Pakistan designated TTP a terrorist group in 2008, leading to brutal clashes. The TTP has bombed mosques, attacked schools, and taken hostages, with the goal of carving out an independent Pashtunistan. In response, Pakistan has used airstrikes and drone attacks, but it cannot target the Afghan Taliban directly without triggering a larger conflict. This dynamic has turned Pakistan into a state fighting both for and against the Taliban, a paradox that fuels endless violence. If Pashtun nationalism threatens Pakistan's northwest, Baloch separatism threatens its southwest. The Baloch people, divided across Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan, have long sought an independent Balochistan. The Baloch insurgency, who's fighting who? 1. The Baloch Liberation Army, BLA, a militant group operating in Pakistan, targeting military convoys, infrastructure, and Chinese projects. 2. The Baloch Liberation Front, BLF, a more politically motivated group advocating for Baloch rights. 3. Jaish al-Adl, a Sunni jihadist group in Iran, funded by foreign intelligence agencies, pushing for a Baloch independence from Tehran. The Iran-Pakistan conflict, proxy war in the making? 2023. Iran launched missile and drone strikes inside Pakistan targeting Baloch militants. Pakistan retaliated with airstrikes on Iranian territory. Both nations exchanged casualties, pushing them dangerously close to a full state-on-state war. If war over land isn't enough, war over water is looming. The Helmand River dispute. The Vetri Helmand River flows from Afghanistan into Iran, providing life-sustaining water to both nations. A 1973 treaty was meant to regulate water sharing, but Political instability and distrust have made it nearly impossible to enforce. 2023 skirmishes between Iranian and Afghan border guards left a bare 3 dead over water rights, droughts, climate change, and growing populations are making this conflict worse every year. Water scarcity is not just an environmental issue, it is a pure trigger for war. The region is slowly becoming a single battlefield, with ethnic, ideological, and economic conflicts merging into one farce. The borders between Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran are becoming meaningless. Insurgents, smugglers, and terrorists move freely. This brings us to a terrifying possibility: the proxy provocation theory. This theory suggests that small militant groups can manipulate larger powers into direct war. Could a single terror attack or border clash push Pakistan and Iran into full-scale war? Could the Taliban's protection of the TTP force Pakistan into an open war with Afghanistan? History has shown that regional wars often escalate into global crises. If Iran, Pakistan, and Afghanistan spiral into direct conflict, the consequences could reach far beyond their borders, and the triad of Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan is already one of the most dangerous places on Earth. And if things continue on this path, it could soon become the spark for a much larger war. Yeah, the question is it too late to stop it? Or will we see history repeat itself once again? What do you think? Will this region descend into full-scale war, or can diplomacy still work? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dive analysis.